So first, I'm going to explain how the various philosophers conceptualize or understand the formation of self. Our first philosopher is Socrates. So Socrates is the first philosopher to engage in a systematic questioning about the self. For him, every man is composed of body and soul. Body that is imperfect because us or our body is a sinner. We make mistakes. And then impermanent because we are all bound to die. We are not permanent in this world. And then the other one is the soul, which is permanent and perfect. According to Socrates, every human person is dualistic, imperfect aspect and body-maintaining soul, and he believed that unexamined life is not worth living. Okay, our next philosopher is Plato. So Plato is Socrates' student, and he supported the idea of his master that man is a dual nature of body and soul. Plato and Socrates have the same perspective about the self, but Plato added the three components of the soul, which is first is the rational soul, which is forged by reason and intellect. Next is the spirited soul. It is in charge by emotions. And then the last one is the appetitive soul, which is charged by base desires. So Plato emphasizes that justice in the human person can only be attained if the three parts of the soul are working harmoniously with one another. Okay, now let's move on to Augustine. So Augustine agreed that man is a bifurcated nature. His view of human person reflects the inner spirit of the medieval world when it comes to man. Like Socrates and Plato, Augustine agreed also that man is composed of body and soul. Body, which is imperfect and bound to die, like I said earlier, and soul, which is anticipating to live eternally in communion with God. Augustine believes that body can remain in physical world only, but soul remains even after death. So our fourth philosopher is Thomas Aquinas. So Thomas Aquinas is the most eminent 13th century scholar and stalwart of the medieval philosophy. He adapted some of his ideas from Aristotle. Thomas Aquinas said that man is composed of two parts, which is first matter or highly or hyle, which is in Greek means common stuffs that makes up everything in the universe. And the second one is form or morphe, in Greek means essence of a substance or thing. So Thomas Aquinas said, in the case of human person, the body of human person is something that he shares even with animals. He believes that soul is what animates the body. To Aquinas, just as in Aristotle, the soul is what animates the body. It is what makes us humans. Next philosopher is Rene Descartes. So Rene Descartes is a French philosopher. He is also the father of the modern philosophy. He believes that the only thing that one cannot doubt is the existence of self. Thus, famous of his lines, cognito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. Rene Descartes claims that there is so much of what we should doubt. In fact, he says that since much of what us think and believe are not infallible, they may turn out to be false. For him, self is a combination of two entities. First is the cognito, which means the thing that thinks, which is the mind. And then the next one is extensa, which is extension of the mind, which is the body. Therefore, the body is nothing else but a machine that is attached to mind and called it as the thinking thing, according to him. Next to Rene Descartes is David Hume. So David Hume is a Scottish philosopher, and he argues that self is not an entity over and beyond physical body. He believes that the self is nothing else but a bundle of impressions or experiences. He finds that they can all be categorized into two categories of experiences. What is the two categories of experiences? First is the impression. Impression is the basic object of experiences or sensation. So impressions therefore are vivid because they are the products of our direct experiences with the world. The other one is the idea. It copies of impressions through thoughts and minds. Be of this, they are not as lively and vivid as our impression. Example, when one imagines the feeling of being in love for the first time, that is still is an idea. Okay, let's move on to Emmanuel Kant. According to Emmanuel Kant, self is a seat of knowledge, acquisition for all human persons. He believes that without the self, one cannot organize the different impressions that one gets in relation to his own existence. So Kant thinks that things that men perceive around them are not just randomly infused into the human person without an organizing principle that regulates the relationship of all these impressions. He stipulated that there is necessarily a mind that organizes the impression that one gets into relation to his own existence. The next philosopher is Gilbert Ryle. So, Ryal denies the internal and non-physical self. He believes that what truly matters is the behavior that a person manifests in his day-to-day life. Ryal thought the philosophical use of the word soul was a category mistake or a mistake in the use of language. Then, he suggests that self is not an entity one can locate or analyze, but simply the convenient name that people use to refer to all the behaviors that people make. For Ryal, looking for and trying to understand the self as it really exists is like visiting your friend's university and looking for the university. And then lastly is Merleau-Ponty, the last philosopher I have to discuss. So, Ponti is a French philosopher and a phenomenologist who asserts the mind-body bifurcation. Ponti simply denies the self, says that mind and body are so intertwined that they cannot be separated from one another. According to him, all experience is embodied. One's body is his opening toward his existence to the world because of bodies men are in the world. Overall, he wants to imply that the living body, his thoughts, emotions, and experiences are all one. So that is how the various philosophers conceptualize or understand the formation of self.